Okay, this video is the detailed wiring and connection video for the LYNK F full screen terminal. So let's get right into it. So there's going to be a long video that's going to cover all this stuff in detail. So this is kind of your cheat sheet if you want to pause here if you're wiring one of these up. But the main difference between the LYNK F and the LYNK B is that the LYNK F has the connectors, the native connectors, mostly on the device because they have the room to do it. So you don't need external wiring and proprietary connectors. So on the top here, there's two USB ports. These are only used if you're flashing the terminal. And just remember, if you're going to connect a USB flash drive, which under normal circumstances you shouldn't have to do, that goes into USB port 1, okay? But generally you don't need to worry about this row right here when you're doing an install. Okay, down on this row, COM 1 is what's used for the Dex port, and usually COM 1 is going to come covered, just like COM 2 and COM 3 are. What we advise you to do is you can use your fingernails and wiggle around the sides. You should be able to pull this connector right out. It's not very tight in there. Pull it out of here and plug it into here because this is an Ethernet port that you won't be using for anything. This is the standard Mdb port right here, and you're going to connect your Mdb cable into here so you can connect this in between the VMC and the bill validator. And then up here, this is not used. You use the bottom antenna, which is a female antenna connector here. So that's it. That's your cheat sheet for this, and then we're going to go right into the longer video that explains all this. Okay, here we're going to talk about the wiring and the connections on the back of the LYNK F, which is the full screen model. So just to give you the orientation around this is the slot on the bottom where you can insert a chip card. The swipe is over here to the right, and the area for NFC is up here. So if you turn this directly around, you'll see this on the back. So I just want to go over what's in here. So these are all USB ports that normally won't be needed for anything. One important thing when you get these, this is labeled right here, COM 3, COM 2, and COM 1. You actually want to take this little stub out of COM 1. You can get it with your fingernails, just it wants to come out straight. So, you can also kind of force it out with a screwdriver, but you should take this and you should immediately plug it in here, which is the Ethernet port, which is never used in our application, and then that'll prevent you from making a mistake later. So the other unit, the LYNK B, the bill unit, doesn't even have an Ethernet port. We don't use it. Okay, and then down here is the Ethernet port, and then there's two antenna cables. One is male and one is female. This one is female. It's labeled GSM, but basically this is the wide area network port. So let's start first with the connecting the antenna. So this is the antenna that that should be coming in all the packages. So a couple things I just wanted to note about this is they have right angle connectors on them. This is mainly for the bill unit, but you'll see here, it's actually not focusing too well. There's a screwdriver. Don't bother trying to screw this in. It's not going to help you at all. This is actually part of the manufacturing process. But this is actually, it's kind of got the bottom part that turns and knots. So the easiest way to get these on is to get it on and basically to screw it. You should be able to screw on just the bottom and get that finger tight. But if your hands aren't as small as mine are, you can also kind of ratchet it here. If your hands aren't as small as mine are, you can use this. This is a special tool. There's a link at the bottom. So this is a $12 tool you can get on Amazon. So this is actually, it's 5 millimeters, or it's actually 5/16, and I can't remember what millimeters is. But this is an exact fit for the bottom. And what I did is I put this in an adjustable wrench and bent it a little bit, which makes it easier, especially for the bill units. But anyway, this will go right on here. It fits perfectly, and this will allow you to tighten this. And one other tip before you get this all the way tight. Well, I'll state the obvious in a second. So you do want it to get it pretty snug. So this is very snug. You see it's not moving at all. Don't leave the right angle part on the bottom, because if you're putting this in a tight area, you probably want it off to, so this will go in the middle. And I just want to point out something else here. If you're mounting this on top of a vending machine through a hole, you obviously want to drill your hole, and you want to place the wire through the top of the frame of the machine and through here before you connect it here. Otherwise, you're going to have to take everything apart and do that. Now, again, on this unit, it's not too bad, but on the bill unit, which you're going to be attaching to a bill validator, it's like 10 minutes to take everything apart if you don't forget to put this through the screw or through the hole in the top. The other thing is this nut does have a slot on it, so you can actually put the nut on afterwards and then screw it in. But some of the earlier parts did not have the nut with the screw, so if you don't have that, make sure you take the make sure the nut is already on the wire. And again, this is through the hole on the top if you're going to be drilling a hole. And these actually are supposed to be placed on the top of the machine because they use the metal as a ground plane. Okay, so the other cables you're going to have with this is you have an Mdb cable. So some are shipping with this cable. This part of the cable is not used, but in any event, this is going to have 2 males. Well, this is kind of a male with a female, but you know, this end that clips in, and then it's going to have these 2 pieces right here. So this is going to connect here, which is pretty easy, and this is going to connect to power and Mdb, and then you're going to have both the male and the female side left over here. So it's really important. You got to place this in between the VMC board and the bill validator. And I'm going to show you what happens if you don't do that. So either way, it's going to get power, but if when the telemeter boots, it gets stuck on the init Mdb ... that means that it's doesn't have a signal to Mdb. Okay. Then the last port you need to worry about here is this COM1. So we covered up this, so you won't by mistake put it in here. And this should be the only one that's uncovered. So this is the Dex cable. So this is a standard Dex cable. This has got ground, transmit, and receive in it. Then you can permanently plug this into your vending machine board and do it up that way. Now, if you have a Dex Y cable for dexing the machine with a handheld, you may take this part out and you may replace it with the Dex Y cable, which looks like this. So actually, it's got this end, and this end. So the idea here is this plugs into the telemeter here, and then this plugs into the vending machine controller, and then this is available for the driver to plug in with a handheld. I actually put a red cable tie around here. You're better off wrapping it with red tape so that the driver doesn't try and unplug this and leave it unplugged when he should be plugging in here. So that's it. That's the total of all the connections that should be needed at the back of the U1B. So there is also in the box there's a faceplate and screws. That's actually pretty self-explanatory, but it only goes on one way, and the screws are here. So depending on if you're how you're mounting this, it will go in the standard cutout slot, but you probably need to put on the faceplate. Okay, that's it for the U1F model. F for full screen. And next we're going to do the U1B.